Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on our Community Solutions program, part of the Treasure Coast Solutions programming. The fourth Wednesday of the month, or the last Wednesday of the month, or whenever we decide, we talk about what's going on in the nonprofit community, some of the things that are happening, some of the things that are out there that you may be interested in or that you may be involved in. So if you've got something, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. You can give us a call. As many of you know that are regular listeners, this is a part of the programming that we do with United Way. So we have Kathy Stacy here with us today to talk about some of the things that are going on there at the United Way, and in particular with Martin Volunteers and that other program that she has that's called Really Old People's Program or something. Kathy, what is it? Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. How are you, Mark?
Good. So what's that program called again?
It is the RSVP program.
What's that stand for?
Retired Senior Volunteer Program.
A Retired Senior Volunteer Program.
Yes.
Which I refuse to
join.
Volunteer for because I am not a retired and I am not senior yet. But just for those of you that, all kidding aside, you can join that without being retired. You just have to kind of pick and choose what things you're going to do, and senior is a state of mind. It is not.
It's anyone over
age.
55.
Anybody over 55.
They had to pick a point in time, so they picked over the age of 55.
Well, 55 is the new 45.
That's
so
right.
I don't understand how that's the case, but anyway. That's Kathy does. She is involved in a lot of great programs in terms of moving people through that and volunteering and matching you up. She does. I'll tell you what Kathy does. Nobody knows at United Way what Kathy does. So for those of you from the United Way that might be listening and others, I'll explain what Kathy does. Kathy is the dating game host of the nonprofit world. She matches you with the perfect match in the nonprofit area.
Volunteerism.
That's right. She can find you that perfect place for you to volunteer, whether you like dogs, cats, lizards, you like
food pantries, thrift stores.
You're a shopper. You can help. You can help us there. What you like to deliver meals, you like to eat meals. She's got all kinds of stuff that she can match you up with. There is pretty much nothing that you couldn't do here in this community if you want to. So give her a call and give her a shot. Tell her what your desires are, what your wants are. She may not be able to find you with the perfect guy or girl, but she will find you with the perfect charity. So that's right. What her job is.
So we have the world's largest swimming lesson coming up. So if you want to be part of that, you give me a call.
Now, is this like I used to do the Friday night show with Frank Mezzapel, and we had the largest nude bathing thing ever.
Nothing like that.
No. Okay, I just want to clarify in case Frank was listening, because once a year there was some group up in Kissimmee that had the largest nude bathing thing, trying to set a Guinness record. So
nope, Martin County Parks and Rec. I don't think so.
Okay. So what's going on with this? So this is a swimming thing.
That's coming up in June. Yep, that's one of the events that's coming up. So yes, that's right around the corner.
And what's the purpose of that? Just everybody wants to go swimming, or no?
No, I think they are trying to break a record.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I believe they are.
Cool.
So, yep. So if you're interested in volunteering for that, give me a call. So they have lots of positions. We'd like to sign you up now so that they can get you assigned, get in contact with you. But yes.
All right.
283-4800, extension 225.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. So so get that done. And I think just recently we had we are celebrating National Safe Boating or Life Jacket Week or something like that. So kind of mention that along with the swimming thing. If you're out in the water, be safe, protect yourself. If you're on boats,
and
wear
this
your life
weekend
jacket.
there is another event at Memorial Park for Stewart Police Department is putting one on, and that's 10 to 2. That's this weekend at Memorial Park. There is a fee to get in, but it is for children and adults. So that's this weekend.
Okay. So we got that going on. And so that's kind of exciting. And of course, Memorial Day coming up with a lot of fun fanfare there. So And I've got flags.
Yay!
So that's fantastic. And I've got a bamboo straw, so that's good too. So I get I'm going to contribute to the environment by throwing this away. But no, no, I'm going to keep this bamboo.
Yes.
I'm going to plant it in my backyard, see if I can grow it. So I have little straws because I like those for stirring with. So I'll plant these, maybe a couple of them, and they'll create some additional straws.
We are reducing waste, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been trying to reduce my waste for a long time, but it's not doing very well. But anyway, so I know we've got the sheriff's department in here, which I'm pretty much used to the sheriff's department at this point because
Do you get pulled over quite often?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I've had a lot of experience with that, but yeah, because of Kathy's daughter, who is, we have that tie there. She's a sheriff's deputy, and so I don't mind if she pulls me over. But anyway, it's so it kind of I love the sheriff's department. They do great things, and I don't know if you know. Well, I should mention first of all that. That our guest in the studio, and I'm not sure what Trish does, but our
Everything.
our guest in the studio today from the sheriff's department is Trish
Kakufka.
Kakufka.
Yes.
I was going to say that right away before even the introduction, just so that I could remember it. Kakufka.
That's right. Most people around here know me as Trish Green, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Born and raised here, so.
All right. So Trish is like I said, she's here from the sheriff's department. But I was going to tell you, I'm a deputy. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I
You?
have a card. I have to cover up the part that says poll deputy.
Oh,
but
but you were sworn in, right?
I was sworn
Very
in.
good. Okay.
by Sheriff Snyder.
Yes.
He keeps promising me a gun, but they're kind of saying maybe that won't happen.
Do you have one of the plastic badges? Because I have one of those.
No, I get a real one, but I
Oh.
can only wear it during elections.
Elections,
I'm
right.
only
Right.
allowed to wear it during elections. It doesn't get me out of any speeding tickets. It doesn't get me anything other than the fact that I have a nice little card that if I do cover up poll, it says
This is deputy.
it's deputy. So
Right.
it's a special deputy, but it's kind of like a special person. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm familiar with as most of us are, with all of the good things the sheriff's department does. A lot of people, may not be aware of all of the things that they're involved in. And I have to give Sheriff Snyder credit. And I'm not kissing up to him just because you're here, Trish. So, but it
Right,
probably
right.
won't hurt you. But I do have to give Sheriff Snyder credit for all of the things that he does get involved in. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that, probably maybe other sheriffs might have been more verbose about their involvement in it and, wanting to make a case for themselves and all that kind of stuff. He's a quiet but active sheriff.
Yes.
He gets a lot of things done. He doesn't have to toot his own horn a lot of times. There's a lot of things that he's involved in and makes happen. And he's this big support for not only the nonprofit area, but of course the community as a whole. So, but what types of things are you involved with? Or
Well, basically, what I do for the sheriff's office is all the community outreach programs, public education. So I'm really the happy-go-lucky side of law enforcement. Day in and day out, people don't get to involve themselves with law enforcement very much because either it's on a negative and they're getting pulled over, they're getting a traffic ticket, they've been in a crash or a victim of a crime. And like you said, there's so many behind-the-scenes things that we do at the sheriff's office. I'm one of those behind-the-scenes people that go out into the community and try to help build those relationships and build the relationships with the nonprofits and the residents and anybody out there who will come to us.
I can say that you're not very scary.
No, I try not to be.
Mike, don't
And
you
she's
agree?
a mom.
She's not very scary, right?
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
And you're a mom, huh?
I am.
Mom.
Yes. I have
Yes.
a 7-year-old daughter,
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So, and where does she go to school?
Bessie Creek, Palm City.
All right.
Yes.
So part of the school system. That's
Mhm.
good. So, yeah, it's that's the thing about we talk about it all the time that we have so many people that are now coming back to the community. Thank goodness we're finally starting to create a few jobs that you guys can survive. And the people that do come back because they grew up here, and most of them have normal names like Green.
Right,
you know,
exactly,
so-
right.
So they get involved in all kinds of things that help our community out. And the young people, they're starting to be a big change in terms of the number of young people that are involved in the community and getting and active in the community and giving back to the community. And I think a lot of that has to do with the community they grew up in. Many of them that come back here, realize what a great place it is to be in. And I know, and so I it's great that you're back here and have what's not a little one anymore, but
No, not
but
anymore.
Isn't it amazing how fast they go?
A blink of an eye.
Our Kathy and I are related through grandchildren,
Okay.
and
You didn't know that?
I did
Oh
not
my
know
gosh,
that.
yeah, our kids are
No,
married.
no. Oh,
Yes,
very
yes.
cool.
Our my not hers necessarily, but my oldest one just turned 6,
Oh,
and so
Very
Carter.
much.
So that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
and so it's only.
oh, I thought you were going to talk
Great
about your
age.
oldest child.
Yeah, no. My oldest child is old. Yeah, she's probably your age. You went to Martin County, right?
I went to Martin County, yes,
When did you graduate?
2001.
2001. So Lisa graduated in 98 and Scott graduated in 2002. Scott Breckbill was the
Mhm.
youngest one. So he was probably just a year older than you. So
The name's obviously very familiar.
yeah, that's he got trapped by those Breckbill kids. But anyway, now what kind of volunteer programs are you working with right now? What types of things is it are you are mostly with the youth, or are you working with all ages, or what types of things are you involved with?
We
right
are
now?
really all across the board. We have our hands in with the PAL program, the Police Athletic League. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but we have a Police Athletic League that was started, and they do boxing. So they have their boxing twice a week, and we are heavily involved in the PAL program, of course, the Police Athletic League, along with City of Stuart Police Department. We work with Kathy on the Neighborhood Watch program. So we have a neighborhood watch meeting every single month, which is the second Thursday at 6 p.m. at our office. And we meet with all the different neighborhoods throughout the community, where we go over our crime stats, what we're seeing going on in the community. And then we usually bring a speaker in for the sheriff's office, and they get to learn a little bit more about the sheriff's office, behind the scenes, what goes on at the sheriff's office on a daily basis. And then we also work with Special Olympics. We work with United Way. We really work with whatever nonprofit organization will reach out to us. Our barbecue grill team is really great about going out and cooking for these nonprofits. So we're pretty much all over the map, every age group there is.
Cool. Now, do you guys, through your office, do they do the? I know I had an opportunity at one point to have some. There was a program that the sheriff's office was offering on workplace training, violence, things like that. Do you coordinate that through your office?
I do, yes. I coordinate that, and then I'm also the speaker for that. It's basically our active shooter training. So any business that is interested in having the sheriff's office come out and talk about active shooter, how to prepare for an active shooter, get their emergency action plans implemented, I will come out and do the presentation for staff, help them get their plans started, and have be ready to go.
Yeah, and they give out free guns. So
Oh, news to me.
no, they don't do that. But if for those of you that haven't, we don't think about that sometimes,
Right.
And actually, it's and sometimes it's not. We think about terrorists and that we're not going to get attacked by terrorists, but a lot of the workplace violence is not terrorism, right? It's like
Correct.
Disgruntled employees.
Disgruntled employees.
and that type of thing. Somebody that, so it doesn't always involve a gun, but it could. It doesn't always involve
Right.
say. But it's important to understand how to make your workplace safe, and
Correct.
it's a great program. I would encourage every business owner to at least give you a call, Trish, and have
Certainly.
you set something up for them, because when I went to the training. Just as a brief thing, it was really interesting, and it wasn't in my office, so it wasn't. It would have been nicer to have, but I just got the some of the basics on it. I think it was at a Kiwanis meeting we were at. But anyway, how do they contact you to do that?
Sure, you can contact the main number at the sheriff's office, which is 220-7000, 220-7000, or you can call me directly at 320-4737. 320-4737, and we will get that set up for you, and we'll come out and do the presentation and get you and your staff ready for any type of emergency.
Right. And and that's and that's we talk about that's appropriate for businesses and that type of thing. But it's also good if you've got for example, it might even be good for like your condominium or something
Sure,
if you want
absolutely.
some because sometimes things happen there at those places. We haven't had anything like that, but it's good to know because this is all about kind of aware of what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are,
Right.
and
So-
how to get out, what you can do to kind of make that a little safer. Sometimes it's just little things that can be done.
Yep. So let me just jump in here and let you tell you what happened to us. It was several years ago. We're right on Canner, and there were a group of men who were walking down the street, and one came into our office, and it was later in the day, and there were only a few of us there, and he wanted money, and he had a backpack, and I don't know how many of the offices they were hitting, but he got really irate really fast, and he just said, I am just hungry. I just want some money to go buy a flippin' hot dog. We ended up giving him money just to get him out of our office, but that's the type of people that you encounter. So it could have
Absolutely.
really gone wrong.
I always volunteer to take them to buy a hot dog, and they never want to go.
Oh, there you go.
They're usually not. They're usually looking for something else. But anyway,
But yeah, but they'll give you options. And so now, of course, we always lock the door when there's not enough people in the stuff.
Right. Oh,
So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah,
so I'll be over this afternoon because I really
You
could use a
wanted a hot dog?
chili dog. Will be good for me. Okay, just one. I just want a chili dog, but I'll be coming over. So so that's the kind of thing that the programs that I'm talking about. A lot of people don't, I mean, they know because you're getting the word out there, but a lot of people don't realize the kind of programs that we have available.
Right.
And I've been involved on the outside through other friends and things that are involved in the Catch the Wave program
Mhm.
and on the human trafficking. And I know we've got some stuff going on now with with all of that, and the attorneys got involved, so all of a sudden everything
Right.
kind of gets blown up. But obviously we had a significant human trafficking problem, whether it goes through the courts and people get convicted or not. There's a lot of money behind these things. There's a lot of, there's just a lot of money behind it. And I'm not saying that some people were involved in the trafficking portion of it, but because there's a lot of well-known people and a lot of publicity, there's been a lot of money thrown at attorneys to kind of blow this case up. It's a shame because they're from all the stuff that I've seen and to the people I've talked to, the sheriff's department wasn't looking at the Johns. They were looking at the human trafficking thing.
Right.
And that's the only reason they were trying to make the case. But it brought some awareness to the fact that some of the things that were in little old Martin County that we're on the front line on. I mean,
Correct.
this human trafficking thing was a big deal. Now we've got potentially the people that are coming from the border to Indiantown that are going to be dropped off in Indiantown at this point. They were talking about Palm Beach and Broward counties. I think DeSantis may have stopped some of that, but we've got a lot of things that the sheriff has to worry about,
Right.
and a lot of that is made better by the things that you're doing out there
Correct.
on the outreach area to make sure that organizations are getting the food out and and helping people with job fairs and all of the kind of things that take place and that you guys volunteer to help out with and raising funds and doing all those kind of things.
Certainly.
Now, what type of fundraising activities or things do you have coming up in the near future that maybe the community might want to look at or participate in?
Well, thank you for asking. We have actually tomorrow night at downtown Stuart Duffy's, we have a fundraiser for Special Olympics here in
Oh,
Martin
cool.
County. So we do help Special Olympics here in Martin County raise funds for them to be able to play their sports and do their things that they do. So we'll be at downtown Stuart Duffy's along with City of Stuart Police Department. And our deputies and our officers will be acting as celebrity waiters and waitresses. So that means they'll be clearing tables. They'll be bringing drinks out. They will not be cooking your food. Don't worry.
Thank
Do we
goodness.
get to request the ones we want?
Yeah, sure. we can arrange that for you. And so they'll be raising special tips for the athletes that are here in Martin County. So it gives them a little bit extra help when they go to do their sports and travel and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And from a community perspective, there's a lot of good programs out here, and although some of these programs receive support through the government or other places, most of them rely on things like this
Correct. Yes, they do.
to make it work. And what you're doing, and Kathy, with the volunteers that she provides for some of these things, is, these things wouldn't happen because many organizations are small organizations, and they're trying to get these things done. Or there may be a program put together for just that, a couple of organizations trying to do something together, and so they don't maybe have the normal volunteers that are geared up for those kind of activities, So it's really, really pretty cool that all of that's going on. So that's coming up this
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night
Tomorrow night, 6 p.m.
at Duffy. So
That's tomorrow's Thursday. Is it
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Friday?
It's Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
So it's
yep.
tomorrow.
Thursday,
Tomorrow.
6 p.m. downtown
Perfect.
Stuart Duffy's.
okay, good. All right. So we'll make sure and come on out. It's a good cause, and hopefully you can participate in that.
And tip them well,
Tip
our
well.
boys
Yes,
in blue
yes,
and girls,
please,
women.
please.
Well, it's just so you know, they'll be green and black. Just in
Sorry.
case
Well,
it's because you guys are
We're green and City Stewart's blue.
Are they blue?
They're blue.
They're blue.
Okay. They all kind of look almost like
Yeah.
black, but I guess
That's
it's dark
okay.
blue,
Yeah.
right?
They're blue, dark blue. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I got to work on there. I wanted them to use some community policing uniforms. Remember those old uniforms did you ever seen those pictures, kind of like the Keystone Cops type stuff?
You just like the hats, Mark.
I did.
Yeah.
They didn't like my idea. But anyway, so that's one of the things that's coming up, and one of the things that's taking place. What other kind of things, Kathy? What types of things are you looking at coming up here?
Well, right now, Trish's Martin County Sheriff's Department and United Way, the RSVP program, and the EOC are working on still the Neighborhood in the Know, which is a pre-disaster plan because we all know that hurricane season is right around the corner. So today we are headed out to Indiantown, where Indianwood is. They're in the process actually of signing up their neighborhood. It's a pre-disaster program where they take a one-page survey. It's a quick survey. Who's here, who's not here, and where are you should we need to contact you for any emergency. The Sheriff's Department keeps a book in their 911 office. The neighborhood keeps one in their either HOA office or the Neighborhood Watch office. And we're participating because we have the funding.
Mhm.
It's under my grant, so we pay for everything. And I just keep one sheet that has the last name, when it was updated, and when they're in town.
And
So
Indianwood is still a manufactured home community, isn't it? Is it primarily manufactured?
Yes.
home?
it is.
Yes.
They have
so-
over 500
Right,
homes in
it's
there.
huge.
So
So,
yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's a community that's been out there for a long time, but
Mhm.
it is, that's the kind of thing when you look at that, that's really important that a community, all
Mhm.
communities, but especially a community like that have
a
this
time
kind of-
saver.
yes,
Mhm.
have this kind of thing where you can reach people
Right.
and you can get a hold of them because if we did have a major hurricane out there or even just
had a fire.
tornadoes or
They
fires,
came really close not
Yeah.
very long ago. Yep.
Right.
yep. So,
So,
any
mhm.
of those kind of things,
Yep.
you get evacuation, and some of the population out there is elderly, and so you never know for sure. Did they get evacuated? Were they in the unit?
Right.
And some of those units may not be there anymore once it's done. And it's funny from an emergency standpoint. And Trish probably was aware. We after Hurricane Andrew, which was when you were
A
a
baby.
baby.
Well, I was in the 5th grade.
Yeah. So after Hurricane Andrew, the biggest problem they had down there is that nothing was recognizable.
Right.
Right.
And I will tell you, just think about this for a minute from an emergency preparedness standpoint. Think about when next time you're driving, think about how you figure out where you're going.
Mhm.
Part of it, you're not even consciously knowing, but you're picking up not street signs. You're not looking for street signs or intersections. It's just stuff. Okay, I'm passing the Tropic Tit building, so
Right.
I'm getting close.
Mhm.
Yep.
So what if that building wasn't there anymore?
Right.
I mean, and in fact, what if nothing was there anymore?
Yep.
And that's the way it was with Andrew. When you went down there, there were no markings on the streets. There was nothing to tell you where you were at. And
Yep.
you couldn't find your home because all of the landmarks that you used, the big
Mhm,
tree that you knew was coming up,
Mhm.
it was gone.
Yep.
And so Now, as a result of that, we now have some markings on the streets. If you guys see those numbers and those things on the streets
Right,
are out there,
intersections.
that's really so that you can find the place
Right.
if there's a problem.
Mhm.
But when all of those things change, that's one of the biggest problems you've got in an emergency is like that. A major hurricane like that is disorientation. You just
Mhm.
don't know where you're at. You
Mhm.
you don't and
Right.
you don't know how to tell people. You call up the 911 and say, I got a fire. And they say, where are you? And I have no idea.
Right.
You know,
Right.
there's no, no way to know. So some of these this program, I think is really a great program. When we talk about money for grants and things like that, these are the kind of things that a little bit of money goes a long way.
Mhm.
Once you set up the program like that, it's a great opportunity to get it out there. And so for those of you that have got, an HOA, a condo association, a community, even a neighbor, like you say, a neighborhood watch, if you don't have an HOA or something like that,
Mhm.
it's a great opportunity to do something. So, you can give Kathy a call,
Yep.
and she can set something up for your association or your community. And I have to remember, I'll have to remember Mike on Mondays to talk about that a little bit, so that on our condo and HOA show. So
Yeah,
that
you got
we
it.
we can mention
It's
that.
free.
Yeah.
And actually, we've met a couple neighborhoods. We have one that really met some resistance, and it's okay. If they don't want to do it, that's up to them, but they will not be notified. I think we got 18 out of a neighborhood, and the lady said, I can't do it. They're just slamming doors in my face. We said, that's fine. And I have another neighborhood where they want to mail everything in, and we provided the envelopes. So they're mailing them in. So I have like 10 neighborhoods. We were actually starting on the east of Route 1 because we were more concerned about the hurricanes and the mobile homes. But then neighborhoods have reached out to me, and it's worked out really well. So we just take the information. Do I need the information? Only for my grant. That's why I take minimal information. I don't care what happens to it. We get it to who needs it, and that's it. And then we periodically will update it, whether it's every other year or every 2 years, whatever the volunteers can handle. And we're using the neighborhood watch because they are familiar with the neighborhood. It's their neighborhood.
Right.
And they can contact them directly from the 911 office. And it's really pretty cut and dried and easy. And the
Yeah, don't call 911. Contact us.
No, but what
no.
happened was, here's a great scenario. Someone in a neighborhood had not been seen for several days.
Mhm.
And no one could find out. I think the TV might have been on, and no one could get in. There was no key. And when they finally got information from the HOA, the information was from 2009. So then they reached out to me and said, we need to do it in this neighborhood.
Well, and that made me think that also we maybe you could put together a little radio spot, and we'll run it on.
Got it.
We'll run it on some of our stuff here.
Be
We'll run
happy
it
to
on
do
our
it.
shows, and we'll run it. I know Greg and Carol are really good about getting those things plugged in on other hours too, even on some of the stuff. And
Mhm.
so hopefully we can get that done.
Perfect.
And then
That'd be wonderful.
Trish, if the sheriff's department, if you've got stuff going on and you ever want to get, some community spots in, we'll be happy to, do that, get it
Thank you.
on for our stuff for sure. And like I say, Greg and Carol are pretty good about getting the word out. So, hopefully that way we can get the word out on some of these programs or
Wonderful.
just in general, some of the
Mhm.
things that are
Yeah.
going on, even if it's to promote your program itself, your activity.
Sure. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So that'd be good. And so that's kind of cool. And so we've got a number of things coming up. We got that program coming up, and that's something that with all the things that are happening with hurricane season and storm season, and we talk about hurricane season, but as Kathy mentioned, there are a number of other things that take place that we have to worry about, like fires,
fires,
and brush fires and
Tornadoes.
Water breaks, any of
tornadoes,
that.
all of those kind of things. I mean, look what's happening with the tornadoes up in the Midwest. And
Mhm.
I know I grew up in Tornado Alley, so that was one of the things that as a kid we always were aware of.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the warning signs in those days, so it was.
Wow, you're old.
I know, I'm really old. So I was running off the farm, so it was bad, But we had cellars up there, so
Yeah.
at least we could go in the basement. But yeah, it's it is difficult. But you look at it, and they always say we've got little tornadoes here, which is true. We have baby tornadoes; they tear off parts of the roof. But it's still it's something that when it hits you, it's still a problem. And
Well, people don't realize also the EOC has the special needs forms. They need to be filled out every year. If they're not filled out, then they're not going to be taken care of. So they got a new form in February. So we have those. You can mail them directly back into them. You can turn them into us and we get them to the EOC. But that form has to be filled out annually. If they have them, their plan is to mail them a birthday card every year and say, hey, it's time to update your form. Then if they don't hear from you, the RSVP volunteers will step in and try and make the phone calls and say, are there any changes? And so that's where those volunteers are crucial to keep your information up to date. So,
and I know there's been some talk about, I know they were going to make some changes to some of the shelters. I don't know what's been implemented yet. And Trish, that might not be something that's is in your area, but I know there was some discussion about that. They're trying to do more with some facilities that can provide some additional services. I know we have a large portion of our population that is still here during the summer. That's that is retired or elderly, and many need power, and they need to take medication. Things need to be refrigerated. Right. Things need to be, they have machines that need to be recharged and things like that. And I know we've tried to do that. And there's a pretty good coverage, but still, it's just we have such a large population of those people that, some people like we talk about up north, a lot of times all you're really talking about is getting a person shelter. Even some of the inland areas, you're really just talking about places. And if they're a little inconvenient because there's no power for a period of time, you don't have air conditioning or you don't have a shower or whatever, it's okay. At least you got a roof over your head and you've got something going on. But for many of us here on the coast where we have population that they're out of their homes because of the evacuation, they can't even stay there if they want to. And then, and now they need power. It is a little more of a strain on our community, so it's a little bit more difficult. And of course, and it's a thing to talk about. We don't have a lot of pet shelters,
and they need to know what they're dealing with. Also, I do actually have information on the pet shelters and what you need to do ahead of time. So we have access to that information. The most important thing is make sure you have all your documentation and make sure your pets are up to date on their shots, and you have to pre-register them. So if you plan on staying, you need to take care of that kind of stuff now.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I know I've heard people say, oh, well, they're pets. We have to realize they're pets. And, but actually we're not doing it for the pet. We're doing it for the person that owns the pet, because how many times have you seen a person who won't leave their home?
Yep. Because of their pet.
They have to leave their pet.
Yep.
And some people, you can say, you've got a lot of people who their pet is their child.
Yep.
Right.
And so for them, that would be like saying to somebody, go ahead and leave your granddaughter or grandson, but you got to go to the shelter. That didn't happen. And so, you can, whatever you feel about that, that's the reality of that situation. So you're saving people's lives, not pets' lives. You're saving people's lives in that process, because many will try to write it out.
Correct.
And so we're trying to do that. And I do know I think we do have some additional pet shelters this year. And so we'll probably talk about that a little bit when in the future when we get.
Well, I'll try and have her on maybe the next time.
Yeah, it's
Humane
good.
Society. But the nice thing is that really you're having a conversation ahead of time.
Yes.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And I brought to leave here. This is from the EOC, the Road to Readiness. It has before, during, and after a hurricane. And then, of course, 211 is also funded by United Way. But here's a 211 guide. This happens to be the senior guide, but 211 has resources. And
Does that mean it's big print? Oh, sorry.
No, it just means it's
Bold.
very thorough.
Bold print.
Bold print.
So anywhere in the community, you can pick up your phone and dial 211, and they will give you information. It's an information hotline, but we already have this information stored in our heads, right, Trish?
All the time.
But I'm going to leave this here as well. But it has
me see
information.
that.
Sorry, it has information for anything you possibly could need. We're giving these out as we go around to the neighborhoods and give them the form. So actually, I have the little packet for you, Mark, that we do as well. We don't ask for much information, and so you're not giving away. What you're really just doing is saving the sheriff's office time, asking them really what's your evacuation plan. Do you have one? We're just asking you to think about it. And then, of course, if you have a special needs form in this, on the form, you circle yes or no. And so if you have one on file, then we just notate that you do. And the EOC has it on file. We don't have it. And so for my grant purposes, it says with the materials I've received, I feel better prepared in case of an emergency or a disaster. So this is the form. It's very minimal. And then it does ask about their pets. Because of the everything that's been going on, and because we're trying to help the sheriff's department cut down on time, we do ask them if they have a security system. And we don't care what it is. We just want to know if they have one, so that if they have break-ins in the neighborhood, to cut down on manpower, they can look and say, hey, they have a system. Let's call them and see if they can go back and look on a certain day and see if anybody cut through their yard or anything like that, instead of having to knock on doors.
I know this is probably a question that, it's a tough question, and they may not ask it. Do they ask questions about whether the person has any weapons on
We do not.
You do not?
We do not know, because we do
Because
not.
that is an issue for law enforcement, is that in an emergency like it's twofold. One, you don't know whether you're coming into a place where somebody's
Right.
scared and they're
Right.
armed. But more importantly, it's that we're talking about emergencies and evacuations. Sometimes people don't take all of their weapons with them
right.
on the road, and so those things get circulated. People break in, and one of the problems you
Absolutely.
have with this is after the storm, it's not just cleanup, but it's theft and people getting in
Right.
there, and a lot of that involves guns and weapons and things like that. So
Well, hopefully they're all registered, and when they get home, they take inventory. So.
but that's usually not the case. So anyway,
I do have people who ask me about privacy issues. And so what we tell them is that you don't have to fill this out. It's up to you. We just have your form in there, and it's blank with your street address. And trust me, you're going to be the last one we're knocking on the door to try and help if it's blank.
yeah.
So
Right.
All right. Well, I'll
you'll fill yours out.
yeah, and I won't put on mine that there's a Stinger missile in my back bedroom. But, it was a gift. But anyway, now you guys say you know what's going on here, so I want to ask you. I want to make sure that. So I'm gonna throw you a softball question.
Well, let me
here.
just say this. It's on paper, so we don't have to remember in our head.
Oh,
We know it's
sorry.
on the paper.
But you told me you had it all memorized. So
And I didn't say memorize. I said we know it all because we had the paper.
So if you need some Meals on Wheels,
Right.
So who would you contact?
The Kane Center.
Mhm.
Yeah. What
Council on
what
Aging.
would their number be? Do you know?
Doesn't matter. It's on the sheet.
It is 223-7800.
Or you can call 211 and they will give you the phone number.
That's
That's right. There's the answer. All
That's
the
our
answer is
girl.
211. So
That's
that's
right.
good. And this is a good program. Many people aren't familiar with it, so we try to mention it periodically. And it's important that you have that.
Mhm.
And just that's all you need to know is 211.
That's right. Just like
And
911, but
and if
don't
you-
miss.
Yeah. And if
It
you got,
happens.
there's also 411. But there's all. But there's a lot of things here for you. Even crisis intervention is 211. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
an issue that you may have.
That's a specialized person, actually.
yes.
Very trained.
And so it is. Sometimes you may not realize you could call 911, but crisis intervention. Somebody
Mhm.
you got a suicide issue, whatever. 211 is a place to call, and that is if you have somebody, and a lot of us aren't trained in that type of thing, in suicide issues or those types of things. These guys are, and they have,
Right.
and 211. That's one of the reasons initially, it was put together, was to provide that kind of 24-hour support
Mhm.
for somebody who's faced with a with that kind of a crisis. And so that is there. 211 is the answer to that. You go there and they'll help you. Not that 911 might not be able to dispatch somebody, but these guys are specifically trained
Right.
for this purpose. And probably that's who 911 would send you to anyway, is to keep you on and know what's going on.
Right.
Some of the things that, like I say, this is all pretty comprehensive, but just, it's if you've got questions about abuse, adult domestic, adult daycare, Alzheimer's, caregiver assistance and support, case management, companion, home health, home help, congregate meal sites, credit counseling and money, death, dying, grief, disability services, disabled parking permits, education for adults, employment for elders, financial assistance, food pantries, meal sites, food, home delivered meals, foreclosure concerns.
And Mark, there is a place in Martin County every single night to go for food. So no one should be hungry.
Right. And that's the thing. Fraud, consumer complaints, that's the kind of things, health concerns, hospitals, hurricane disasters, insurance, legal services, medical supplies and equipment, mental health counseling, pets, prescription assistance, senior centers, tobacco smoking, quit for life, special Social Security Administration issues, substance abuse, support groups, all of these things, they can help you get you to the right spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Transportation, utility assistance, veterans crisis line, veteran services, and volunteer opportunities and more.
So, and on that note, United Way will be having the grant awards on June 26th at the Blake Library at 10 a.m. So if you'd like to join us, we are inviting the community to come and see who is being funded next year.
Cool.
So so we'd like to invite everyone to that.
All right. So that sounds cool.
June 26th.
That's interesting. And so that'll be fun.
It was great last year. I missed it, but I plan on being there this year.
Yeah, I've been involved in that. It's tough for me. It's tough for me this time of year for or for the time of year that we do a lot of the stuff, because I've got so much going on in the tax area. It limits the number of days I have available. But I do try to get involved in that. I have, and of course I've been helping out in Character Counts. But yeah, it's a great opportunity, and it's a really good program to be involved with. It's an opportunity to see and to make a difference in terms of where that money goes.
Right.
And and we have an opportunity here on this show to, but it's only once a month. We have an opportunity here to kind of get the word out, and so you'll know a little bit about where some of the money goes. But it's a good opportunity for you to see what money's distributed and where it goes to and what it's used for.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's really pretty neat. So I want to encourage people to attend that, and that's on what day? The 27th,
June 26th.
26th. Okay, and so that's so encourage people to go out there and do that, and then the other thing is you guys usually have Kathy, I know, and it takes a lot of volunteers, and it's involved. The sheriff's department's involved, and the others. But is the this big emergency planning thing that you do, the disaster thing where everybody plays dead and all of that kind of stuff? You've done those things in the past through United Way. Are you guys doing that again?
We are not.
Really?
It used to be called the Volunteer Reception Center. It was after a disaster would pass.
Right.
Yes. So they're in the process of going online. So the EOC has a online system now where they went online last year, knock on wood. So we haven't tested it yet because we haven't had one. But what happens is you dial in and each agency has their own code. So I would go in with my own code and people would email me, call me, do whatever they need to do and call me and say, hey, I want to volunteer. Well, I have access to my database wherever I am. So instead of coming to an actual place, you have them online because some are here, some are not here. And I know who's where and what, and they all are registered. And so say the Salvation Army has their own code and says, hey, I need volunteers here. Well, I can redirect my volunteers, and it's a brand new process, brand new program.
But wasn't part of the old program to kind of give some people some training and all of that?
It was.
And we don't do that now. It's just all anybody can do what they want to do?
Well, they
Is
can't
that-
do what they want to do. They would still go through a process, but we would assign them where to go, and it would kind of. So it's all brand new. It hasn't been tested.
and, and
You
well,
reroute them kind of directly to the agency. I don't know.
and whose program is it?
EOC, the EOC's program.
Okay.
It's
So
emergency management. Yes. This probably goes in hand to hand with the CERT teams
Mhm.
that are just people that are involved in CERT teams go through training. I don't know if it's once a year, but they go through training quite often to keep up with their skills and know what's going on and know what changes are going on through our EOC here in Martin County. So
Yeah. All right. That sounds
it'll be
Fantastic.
exciting. Yes.
yes.
So, yep.
Especially in the midst of all of it, it should be very exciting.
Well, and you have to be open to change. That's my motto.
No, you don't.
So,
I don't have to be open to change.
so,
I can keep things the same.
but yes.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay. So we're not doing that anymore.
So no, they're morphing towards going online because everyone has their phones. Usually the phone lines are up and it's easier to mobilize people that way. So
Yeah, maybe.
they want to keep them off the roads also. Why have them come to one place and then reroute them somewhere else? So we'll see. How's that?
We'll see. That should be good.
I try to be very flexible.
My thing was just I know that the training was good because you got an idea of what was
Right.
going on.
It's complete mayhem.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know. That's what it
mayhem.
was, and
It
and
is.
so it's important to
Yep.
be able to, so for the volunteers to see what it was going to be like,
Mhm.
because you guys used to do all kinds of different disasters.
Oh my gosh, I'd always have mothers come in with babies, and
Yeah.
poor Lindsay would come in with her kids, and all they wanted to do was play because that's what happens.
Right,
That
right.
really is what happens.
Yeah,
So, yep.
and
I'm with
so
ya.
it was kind of interesting. But
Yep, so
all right, so we'll hopefully sometime in the
we'll
future
keep you posted.
yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll see what happens there. Other than that, the only other thing I would say is, or I would ask is, Trish, is what kind of things are that you were involved with in the school system? Do you have any set programs in the school systems you're working with, or from your standpoint? I'm talking about community outreach. I know we've got we've got officers in the
right.
in the system, but
Nope. If they have different fairs or anything that they have going on, we may show up out there. If they have, sometimes Citrus Grove Elementary has a fall festival. We'll go out to their fall festivals. We get involved in their bike programs. So if it's anything that's really after school hours, then yes, we will get involved in it if they're having some type of festival or anything. But that's pretty much it. Our school resource deputies are amazing.
Yeah.
And you
They're
just had one
great
honored
in the
for the
school.
character
Yes,
accounts.
yes, and they do a lot for the programs in the schools and all that they do there. But as far as thing afterwards, if they do a fall festival or any type of festival of that sort, we'll go there and support that and be there with them.
okay, all right. Well, that's good. I know that's been a good resource, and it is it's a situation where just getting the kids acclimated to the officers.
Sure.
It's nice to have that kind of communication, and
Yeah.
we've had that for a long time in Martin County. Of course, a number of the deputies grew up here and are back
you're
here,
right.
so that's kind of neat. We got a couple 2-3 minutes left. Anything else that, from your standpoint, that you want to make the listeners aware of that might be going on from your standpoint, or Kathy as well? Anything that you want to mention?
Well, I would like to take a minute to thank all of our veterans and thank them for their
Yes.
service. And I know Memorial Day is a day to honor those who lost their lives for the U.S. military. So thank you to all their families for their sacrifices, and just hats off to them. And please know that we are thinking of them.
Right.
And Monday's a very special day, and we will take note of that.
It is, yes. And come on out to the Memorial Day Parade in downtown Stewart on Monday. Starts at 10 a.m. And Sheriff's Office will be there. There'll be many groups there for that day. So 10 a.m. downtown Stewart, Memorial Day Parade. But we do have a shred event that's going to be coming up, a shred event and a medication take back in July, on Saturday, July 20th. That will be 10 to 1 at the Sheriff's Office. And anybody that has any shred or anything that they need to get rid of, or family members that are moving out of a house, they have old paperwork and things that need to get rid of, they can bring it onto the Sheriff's Office. We give 3 free boxes, but like banker box sizes, 3 of those for free. And then after that, it's $10 a box. And the money that gets raised on our shred event we'll go to either our PAL program or our our new started up Explorers program.
Oh, great. Oh, they restarted?
They did.
Oh,
They did. Yeah. So
good.
they've been back now probably about 2 months.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
that's pretty cool.
Yes.
People
very
ask
good.
me about that.
And
Perfect.
and also that pill take back program is a huge thing.
Oh, it's big,
It
really
is.
big.
Don't flush
Yep.
those things and
Right.
all that. Get that back. And
Yep.
it's, believe it or not, a lot of the contamination that the wastewater
Yep.
people have to deal with is medications
Yep.
that come through there. It causes a lot of problems.
Yes.
So that's a good program, and we'll have to remember to do
Yep.
that. And otherwise, I think that I did want to mention, speaking of veterans, that one of the things that was on this 211 situation is if you've got a veteran that needs services, 211 can direct you to the right location
Yep.
and kind of give you the people that can help them. And we have a lot of veterans, whether it's homeless, whether it's medical, whatever. So if you're unsure as to who you should call,
Yep.
call 211 and they can point you in the right direction based on your situation and your needs. So that's a good thing. And Trish, it was great having you here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me. It's great being here.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming in. And those out there that listen to the show on a regular basis, we feel sorry for you, but we do
Hi,
appreciate
Mr.
it.
Van Kuren.
Yeah,
He's our number one listener.
Yeah, that's right. I love Gene. So anyway, thanks for joining us right here on Community Solutions on WSTU Digital 1450. We are Martin County's very, very, very old station.